let's start in child's pose. And you can take your knees wide and bring your heels together. And take a few moments to notice that wonderful breath, that expansive breath. As you rest yourself back into child's pose, take time to reach your fingers forward, inviting length to the side body and the spine. Maybe shifting your weight between the left and the right hip, consciously relaxing your shin bones and your calf muscles. And then taking time to walk your hands over to the right side and see if you can settle here for just a moment. Maybe allowing the weight to shift a little deeper into that right hip. And carefully walk your fingers to the left side, compressing the left hip. And then invite your palms back to center and start to rise up to upward facing dog. As you lengthen the legs, make sure that your knees are down. Start to sway a little bit from side to side, exploring movements in the lumbar. And then lower yourself to the earth. Tuck your toes and rise to plank pose, gradually stretching back to downward facing dog. So you'll notice that your feet are wide. You can pedal your heels here, making sure that your feet are parallel to one another and also the sides of the mat. You might move your head forward and back. And then step your right foot forward and start to ease forward and back here. So moving between a nice deep lunge and gradually lengthening the right leg. And at some point, if you feel good and you want to try pressing one or both palms, inviting more length, more compression. And then maybe you return back to your fingertips. Let's work on the back leg. So dropping the left knee down and then inhaling the left knee back. Really focus on floating that left knee above the mat and then reaching that heel straight back. Try just a few more times. Again, you're more than welcome to press your palms. Just try and maintain the focus and interest of the left knee. And maybe once more. And then carry yourself back to downward facing dog. Make sure your feet are wide. Press those palms forward. Start to invite the sits bones to reach higher. And we're going to do a little bit of a cat-cow. So look towards your heels, round your spine. And then inhale, look forward and lift your sits bones. Just like a downward facing dog with cat-like motion. Investigate the stretch of your hamstrings. Then notice the movement of your pelvis. And then step forward with your left foot, making your way to your fingers, starting to lunge and lengthen that left leg. Try to keep the left knee in line with the left ankle as you lunge. And stabilize all four corners of your left foot as you stretch your left leg. And perhaps placing one or both palms, working on that forward fold a little bit more. And the next time you come back to lunging, again, you might return to fingertips here. Dropping the right knee almost all the way to the earth, and then extending the right leg back. Working the right knee, and stretching back. If you want to come down to your palms, you can. Just make sure that your focus is that right leg. Really strong, very slowly, moving up and back. And then return to downward facing dog, walking the feet a little bit closer. Start to move your head forward and back. And then settle into stillness. Let your head rest right between your shoulders. Try and scoop up and tone your belly, filling your low back as much as you can. Think of a line of energy from the top of your hips all the way down to your heels. And start to connect with what's happening in the shoulders. Give yourself a little hug towards the midline with the arms. Keep the upper back nice and full, broadening through the shoulder blades. And then step forward with your right foot, and we'll push off of the right foot and elevate our left leg. From here, you might bring one or both hands to your right shin bone, maybe pointing or flexing your left foot, that's up to you. Maybe playing with point and flexing. And then hands return. And the left foot returns. Take a halfway gaze, lengthen through your spine. Exhale, make your way to a forward fold. Just pausing there. And then see if you can shift around through the feet. So sort of move in a circular motion, finding all four corners of both feet. Maybe taking time to lift and spread your toes. And eventually find the center of that. Clasping your heels if you can, otherwise just the backs of the knees. And return back to forward fold. Try and take your elbows out to the sides. And welcome that compression right at the crease of the hip. Again, focus on the hamstrings here. And when I ask you to focus, I don't mean push or force. I mean allow the stretch without pushing or forcing. So focus on what's happening in this moment with your body. And can you distribute the weight more into the left foot or the right foot? How can you bring more balance into this pose? And then carefully, place your hands on your hips, push into your feet and rise up. Palms together, inhale, reach. Exhale, bring your elbows down the sides. Palms together, look up, reach up. Exhale, elbows down. One more time, breathing, reaching. And exhale, elbows down. Bend your knees and return back to downward facing dog. Once you find your way to downward facing dog, take your right leg high and pull your right knee towards your right elbow. Returning the right leg high, pull the right knee towards your left elbow. Inhale, right leg high. See if you can round your spine, drawing the knee towards the forehead. Inhale, right leg high. Now bend your knee. Toes in towards your shin bone. Root back a little bit more into your left heel. Keep your right leg lifted and very active. Pushing forward with both palms. Let's take 3 breaths. And then draw your right knee to the middle of your mat. Set it down. Elevate your left leg. Pull your left knee in towards your left elbow. Inhale, elevate your left leg. Exhale, left knee towards your right elbow. Inhale, elevate your left leg. Left knee towards the forehead. Nice big breath, reach and stretch. Right hand reaching. Toes in towards your shin bone. Lift up through the shoulders and the belly. And then right hand returns. Drop your left toes and press back for downward facing dog. Carefully take your left leg high and step forward to the front of the mat. Inhale, push off the left foot, reach your right leg high. Toes in towards your shin bone. Maybe pointing, perhaps bringing a hand to the left shin. You can play with that pointing and flexing. Notice the shift in balance. And then return your right foot back to the front. Clasp both elbows this time. Tuck your head in between your shoulders and find those exhalations through your mouth. See if you can move the side body a little bit, so starting to draw out of hips. And focus on, again, the crease of the hip, really hinging from the hip joint. So belly, abdomen towards your upper thigh. There could be a little bend in your knees. And then tuck your elbows behind your head and rise to standing. Arms reach up. Exhale, hands to the sides. Samastitihi. Urdhva Namaskara, palms together, reach up. Exhale, forward fold, Uttanasana. Inhale, halfway gaze, Ardha Uttanasana. Step back with your right foot. Sweep your left leg to the sky. Bring your left knee to your left elbow. Inhale, left leg to the sky. Left knee to the right elbow. Inhale to the sky. Left knee to forehead. Inhale to the sky. Carefully bend your knee. Flex your toes. Root back into your right heel. Press those palms forward. An active lift through the left leg. Lots of breath. And then draw the left knee forward, set it down. Elevate your right leg. Lift from your belly, lift from your shoulders. Draw the right knee towards the right elbow. Nice inhale, reach it back. Right knee touches your left elbow. Inhale, reach back. Right knee to the forehead, round your spine. Inhale back. And then reach with your left hand. Breathing here, toes in towards your shin bone. And left arm returns. Right knee next to left knee. Press back for child's pose. Walk your hands forward. And then rise up for tabletop. Tuck your toes and then return by elevating your knees towards your belly, pressing into the bottom of your feet. And then elevate your hips high to the sky. Keep your arms long and lengthened. Keep your spine long and lengthened. Try not to move forward at all. Think of downward facing dog with the arms. Bring those knees back towards the earth. Good. Use your glutes, hamstrings, and quads. Lift your hips high. Again, knees drop towards the earth. Keep the upper body long and lengthened. Hips reach high. Let's do that one more time. Knees almost to the earth. And hips high. Pausing in downward facing dog for 3 breaths. And then right leg high to the sky. Let's step forward for high lunge. Join your palms along the way. Reach up overhead. Take your hands out to the sides. Place your hands on your hips. And then bring your left knee almost all the way to the earth. Now invite your hands back together before your heart. Extending arms in line with your ears. Squeezing in towards the midline. Keep breathing. Tone your belly. Draw your left quad forward. Pull your right hip back. And then hands come out. Straighten both of your legs. Come to forward fold. Maybe hands on the shin bone. Could be fingertips on the ground. Could be palms. If you're comfortable, reach your hands back. Fingers pointing towards the back of the mat. Hinging in your hips. First thing that arrives is your belly. And then from there, extending outward through the crown of the head. Carefully lift your gaze. Walk your hands back to the earth. Drop down to the left knee. And then sit back onto your left heel. If you're not comfortable sitting on your heel, you can just move your heel and sit behind it. All right. Let's take a big breath and reach the hands up to the sky. Making your way to forward fold. That is compressing in the right hip again. Maybe hands to the ankle or shin bone could clasp the sides of your foot. A bind might be possible, reaching with the right hand. Left hand grabs that. Think of long, lengthened spine. Don't round your spine. Long, lengthened spine. That begins with the compression of the right hip. Let's take 5 breaths here. And on your next breath, look forward. Reach your hands up overhead. Exhale. Once those hands come back down, return to lunging. Sweep your fingers to the sky. Join your palms. And then exhale. Fingertips come down. Let's return to downward facing dog. You might pedal out your feet here a little bit. Shift your hips from side to side. And then left leg is high. Step forward for high lunge. Inhale, palms together, hands in front of your heart. Bring your hands to your hips. Take your time. Start to draw your right knee towards the earth. Bring a levelness and neutralness to your pelvis. Bottom of your pelvis forward, top of your pelvis back. And then hands come to the earth. Straighten both of your legs. Hinging in your hips. Focus on that left hip especially. Long lengthened spine. Choose your variation for your hands. Shin bone to the earth. Fingers or palms. Maybe reaching back towards your right foot. And breathe. Carefully look forward, bring your hands back, drop down to the right knee, reach those hands up to the sky, gazing upward towards your palms. And then exhale, hands come down. Stretch your left leg, rotate your right shin bone in. Have a seat on your right heel. Making a decision which hand variation to take this time. Maybe the shin, maybe the foot, maybe the bind. Carefully return, reaching. Exhale, hands out, push yourself forward, lunging the left knee. Let's press back for child's pose. And then right away, round your spine to upward facing dog. Exhale, lower to the earth. Tuck your toes. Up and back for downward facing dog. Let's take 5 breaths here in Adho Mukha Svanasana. See if you can root your heels a little closer to the earth. Again, pressing the palms forward. Really tone that belly. Let your head rest right between your shoulders. Very intentional. Breathing deeply. In this moment, keep breathing. And then gazing forward, walk, step, or jump. Halfway gaze. Exhale, forward fold. Rising to standing. Palms reach up. Exhale, hands to the sides. Let's bring the palms to the sky. Make your way to forward fold. Halfway gaze. Bend your knees, separate your heels, join your palms, and return to Utkatasana, chair pose. Focus on that line of energy. Fingertips, shoulders, hips, and heels. Lifting from your floating ribs. Drawing the navel in and up. And then exhale. Bend your knees, bring your hands down. Lift your gaze, click your heels together. Make your way back to forward fold. Stepping back to plank. Lower to the earth. Upward facing dog. Make your way to downward facing dog. Now make sure your feet are hip width distance. Pivoting the ball of the foot. Send your left heel in, and then step your right foot forward. Join your palms and reach up to the sky. This is Virabhadrasana 1, Warrior 1. And then take a vinyasa, hands come down, step back and lower, upward facing dog, down. This time, again, check in with your feet. Pivoting on the ball of your right foot, drop your heel. Step forward with your left foot, palms together, reaching to the sky. Gazing upward. And take your vinyasa. Hands come down. Back to plank. Lower. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. Let's stay for 5 breaths. And then step forward to the front of the mat. Take a halfway gaze. Exhale as you come to forward fold. You separate your heels. Bend your knees. Returning, Utkatasana. And click your heels. Release your hands down to the sides. Palms together, look up, reach up. Exhale, make your way to forward fold. Gaze and lengthen. Step back for plank. Lower to the earth. Upward facing dog. Back to downward facing dog. Now see if you can shift yourself forward to plank. And then tip yourself over to the left side. Maybe stack your heels as you reach with your right hand to the sky. If you need to step your right foot in front of your left, that's okay. Feel that lift from the right side body. Feel that reach across the shoulders. And then carefully, right hand comes back, coming back to regular plank, step to the outside of your right hand. Drop your left knee down and make your way to forward fold. It might be one, it might be both forearms. If you would like, you can tuck your left toes and elevate your left knee, keeping the pose active. Now, regardless of wherever you are, if your left knee is lifted, you're going to make a fist with your left hand. If your left knee is down, you're going to make a fist with your left hand. I'm going to demonstrate first the lifted version. We're making our way back to side plank, reaching with the right hand. So, if your knee is down, you're just stacking your knees and lifting. Right? You decide which variation works for you today. And breathe. 3 full breaths. And then return. Hand comes down. Step forward with that right foot. And then back to downward facing dog. Breathing there. All right. Shift yourself to plank. Lower all the way to the earth. Make your way to upward facing dog. Press back for child's pose. And settle just for a moment. Slow down your breath. And then rolling to upward facing dog. Exhale, lower to the earth. Tuck your toes, lift for a plank. Back to downward facing dog. Walk your feet together. Shift again, plank pose. This time dropping over to the outside of your right foot. Left hand reaches to the sky. And then carefully look down. Left hand comes back. Left foot steps forward. Drop your right knee down and lower. Maybe one forearm, maybe both. If you want that active feeling, tuck your right toes and elevate your right knee. All right, now position that right forearm, so make that fist. As you're there, decide to step back, keeping both knees lifted, or stack your knees. Breathe your breath, reaching to the sky with your left hand. 3 full breaths. And carefully, left hand returns, foot steps back. Come back to your palms, downward facing dog. Let's take a full vinyasa around your spine, upward facing dog, lowering to the earth, back to upward facing dog, downward facing dog. Step forward right foot, step forward left foot, halfway gaze, forward folding. Press into the feet, rise to standing, arms reach up. Exhale, hands to the sides. Again, inhale, breathe and reach. Exhale, forward fold. Inhale, look out. Exhale, step back and lower, plank pose. Upward facing dog, inhale. Exhale, downward facing dog. Let's take 5 breaths here. Now, step your left foot forward. Send your right leg high to the sky. Pull that knee in towards your belly. And from the shin bone, reach forward and have a seat. Hugging the left knee in. Maintain the uprightness of the spine. Close your eyes for a few moments and find your breath. Just calling yourself into that internal space. Take a moment to place your hands behind you with your fingers facing your spine and open up your shoulders. And then relaxing the shoulders, come back to an upright spine. Walk your left foot a little bit wider, and then you can choose today. Maybe just forward folding towards your right shin bone. You might clasp the bottom of your foot. You might find that bind. Work on the hinge of your hips. Make your way to forward fold. Try and keep the bottom of your left foot planted on the earth. Just do your best. And then return, arms reach up. Exhale, take a twist to your right side. And then come back to center. All right, this is a little bit more complex. Be patient with yourself, don't push or force. We're tipping over to the right side. You're bringing your left heel back. And then you're going to try and find your sits bones. It's quite possible that you might be tipped over and your left hip is lifted. As long as you're not feeling any tension in your knee. If you're feeling tension in your knee, I want you to just work on fingertips here, keeping the uprightness of the spine, and see if you can ease into a levelness of your hips. Otherwise, if you feel okay, there's no tension in your knee, begin to hinge, forward fold, Choose your arm variation, and we'll take 5 full breaths. Carefully lift your gaze. Return to reaching up overhead. Exhale, release your hands. Tip back over to the right side. Unwind your left leg. Place your hands behind you and just move your femur bones. Right, so from the hip socket all the way down to the feet. And then we're going to cross the ankles, roll over, and take a full vinyasa. So starting with plank pose. Push back for downward facing dog. We'll gradually roll the spine to upward facing dog. Lower back to the earth. Again, upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. Breathe for 5 full breaths. Wonderful. Right leg high. Step forward. Left leg high. Step forward. Rising up to standing. Exhale, hands out. Big breath, reach up. Forward fold. Inhale, gaze and lengthen. Step back for plank and lower to the earth. Upward facing dog. Downward facing dog. Right leg high again. Step forward to the front of the mat. Left leg high. Left knee towards your nose. Sweep that shin bone forward and have a seat. Close your eyes, hugging the right knee. Breathing in and out. Sensing the internal space. And then carefully take your hands back. Open up your heart, lift your sternum, lift your collarbone. And carefully relax your low back. And this time we're going to walk that left foot a little bit wider. Focus on where you're going. Nice big breath. Reach your hands. Begin to forward fold. Right? Choosing to clasp your ankle or shin. Right? Maybe the bottom of your foot. Maybe working for your bind. Just do your best wherever you are. And carefully return back to center. Twisting to your left side. And then this time, as you tip over to your left, you draw your right shin bone back. Check in with the balance here, the sits bones. Choosing to stay with the uprightness of your spine. Right? Maybe deciding to come to your forward fold. Inhale and exhale for 5 breaths. And return to reaching. Exhale, hands come down. All right, we're not going to release this yet. We're going to do our back bend from here today. Reverse tabletop. So step your left foot to the ground. Take your hands back. And as you push into your palms, you elevate your hips. Decide whether you're going to continue to gaze forward or take your head back. Try and stay for 5 breaths. And then carefully, have a seat. Extend your left leg, roll over to the side, release your right leg. Once your legs come back, move your legs from side to side. And then carefully, lean back to the right, return that left shin bone behind you. Step your right foot to the earth. Take a moment to press your palms back. Open up your shoulders as you push off of the foot. Elevate your hips, choosing to gaze forward, up or back. 5 full breaths. Tuck your chin, return, release your right leg, roll over, release your left leg. Come to your back, take a nice full body stretch. Arms and legs reaching through your heels. And then pull your knees in and rock from side to side. All right. And this is sort of a choose your inversion. So if you're comfortable with a shoulder stand or a plow pose, you can choose what you're going to do. You might go from shoulder stand to plow pose. I'm going to demonstrate a half shoulder stand, and we'll see what happens from there. If there's an opportunity for you to then take it to plow pose, you're more than welcome. I'll guide you along the way. Starting with your feet rooted to the earth, relax your low back. Most important, as we're moving through the next few moments of our practice, don't turn your head left or right. Keep your gaze up and keep your chin slightly elevated to keep the curvature of your cervical spine. It's really important that you keep your head very still. Keep your gaze up. If you don't know what I'm saying, don't turn your head. Just breathe where you are and listen. All right, let's take our time here. Take a moment, push into your feet, elevate your hips. From there, start to walk your feet in, elevating to the ball of the foot. Lift your hips higher, walk your shoulders in. From here, you might be able to tuck your hands underneath your back. If you can and you feel supported on your palms, you can pull one knee into your belly. Just practice there. This is Viparita Karani. You can try putting that foot down and try the other one. If that feels good to you, you might decide to turn your palms around and stretch your forearms. Again, still breathing. Maybe a lift of the knee. Try lifting the other knee if you're doing one. Both feet come back to the earth. Relax and lower with me if you're following my directions. Release your low back. Just breathe. All right. This time, think about rocking along your spine and pull your knees in, push your hands into the earth, support your back. All right, so once your hips pop up, support your back with your hands. You can keep your knees bent. You could stretch one leg to the sky. You might stretch both legs to the sky. You can drop your hips back into your hands. You could elevate your hips. Choose where you are. Again, keep your gaze up. Most important is that you're breathing. Trying what you can today. And if you would like to try plow pose, you can bend your knees and stretch your toes back, maybe bringing your feet to the earth. All of this happens with your gaze up. And inversions are long, right? They're 12 to 15 breaths, sometimes longer. So practice where you are. Breathing conscious breaths. If at any time you are done, pull your knees in towards your belly and just roll to your back. Otherwise, stay with me for 5 more breaths. Wherever you are, maybe your toes are reaching over, maybe you're supported in your hands, maybe your knees are bent. Wherever you are, 3 more breaths. And then release those knees. Soften, rolling to your back. Release your legs straight out. Relax your arms straight out. Exhale through your mouth. And welcome a great heaviness to your body. All right, so this moment is surrender. Letting go. Surrender and letting go. trusting all that is in this moment, the wonderful gift of your breath, the opportunity to be in practice with yourself. And then move your head slowly from side to side. And find a nice full body stretch. And step your feet to the earth, rocking the knees from side to side. And then take your time and roll to whichever side of the body you want to roll to today. Making your way to some kind of seat. Thank yourself for the awareness you brought your practice today. And for the kindness and care that you brought to your practice today. And knowing the connectedness to all beings and all things. I thank you for sharing your practice. Namaste.